dialogue between Washington and Pyongyang. Lee also says South Korea is building enough defense capabilities to take responsibility for security on the peninsula. He added that Seoul will continue working with Washington to restore navigation through the Strait of Hormuz. Ahead of Chuseok, the Korean Thanksgiving Day, several local governments are planning financial support for residents. The goal is to ease the burden of high oil prices and the prolonged economic slowdown while boosting local spending. Because the payments come from local budgets, amounts vary by region. Some plans have also faced opposition from local councils. Uryonggun County and Hampyeonggun County will provide the largest payments at 500,000 won per person. Some local governments will use regional gift certificates to support small businesses and traditional markets. Meanwhile, Busan, Incheon, Gyeonggi, and Jeju have no plans for such payments. In local news, Busan City announced plans today to build a disaster safety network for international victims. The city will sign an agreement with the Busan Fire and Disaster Headquarters, the Korea Red Cross Busan Branch, Donga University, and other organizations. The agreement aims to provide disaster relief and support for foreign residents. A key part of the plan is the Busan Disaster Response Interpretation Team. About 30 interpreters will provide services in 16 languages, including English, Japanese, Chinese, Vietnamese, and German. They will assist at command centers, medical facilities, and temporary shelters. They will explain evacuation, medical, and support procedures. The city also plans to connect emergency rescue, housing, relief supplies, financial support, and psychological recovery. Busan City announced a new agreement today with BGF Retail and Korea 7. The agreement aims to protect the health and rest rights of mobile workers. Since August, 48 convenience stores in the city have operated shelters for mobile workers. The city will add 48 convenience stores, expanding the total to 96 locations. The shelters are evenly distributed across Busan's 16 districts. Each district will have 6 locations. This will make it easier for workers to find a nearby place to rest. Busan currently operates 7 support centers and shelters. However, most are located near major transportation areas, making them less accessible to workers in other locations. In international news, President Donald Trump announced an unprecedented economic campaign against Iran yesterday. He warned that countries helping Iran financially would face massive economic consequences. Trump urged the international community to stop doing business with Iran. He also called for an immediate end to oil smuggling, cash transfers, currency swaps, and other ways of avoiding sanctions. Trump declared the day an economic D-Day for Iran. He called on all U.S. allies to join Washington in isolating and defeating Iran. And now for today's weather. It's currently 31 degrees Celsius under clear skies. The eastern parts of Busan are under a heat wave advisory. The high is forecast to reach 32 degrees Celsius. That wraps up this hour's news. Thank you for joining us. You're listening to BEFM 부산 영어 방송.
Your best choice. BEFM 부산 영어 방송.
Coming up next is Busan Worldwide with Stephanie Yoon. BEFM 부산 영어 방송.
Good morning and welcome to Busan Worldwide. Back in the 1980s, countries around the world came together across borders for one shared goal, protecting the rapidly thinning ozone layer. Through the Montreal Protocol, they combine knowledge, technology, and commitment to action, and the ozone layer has gradually begun to recover. And every March, more than 190 countries also take part in Earth Hour. Switching off lights for 1 hour, it may seem like a small gesture, but when millions of people do it together, it sends a powerful message of care for our planet. Now, our borders, languages, and ways of life may be different, but the land beneath our feet and the air we breathe are all connected. 네, 국경도 언어도 살아가는 모습도 서로 다르지만 우리가 밟고 있는 땅과 함께 숨쉬는 공기는 모두 연결되어 있습니다. One person's actions may seem small and one country alone can only do so much, but when we share what we have learned and act together as part of one global community, we can create a better tomorrow. Perhaps the greatest force for protecting the environment and changing the future is solidarity. Well, this is Busan Worldwide, and I'm your host, Stephanie Yoon.
Busan, where the light of the world comes together. Stories from Busan connect to the world. The closest place to hear the voices of the region. Right now, at the center of the stories you want to know. Busan to the world. Busan Worldwide with Stephanie Yoon.
Welcome everyone. You're listening live on this Thursday morning, August 20th on BEFM Busan 영어 방송 90.5 FM in Busan and 103.3 FM in Gijang, Jeongwan, and Noksan areas. Some messages coming in. We have Benny-님 saying, good morning, Stephanie and everyone. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday to you as well. 사랑대호님 saying, hello, Stephanie and all. Happy Thursday. Exactly same message, I think. We also have Kevin-님 saying, I'm so depressed that Asia left. Yes, from 6 p.m., right? Back to school, but I got stuff. And we have double guests in the studio, absolutely. So stay tuned for our interview in about 3 minutes. Now, the city of Busan recently met with the National Water Management Committee and civic groups to discuss ways to secure safe drinking water through more diverse water sources and improved water quality in the Nakdong River. Solving environmental challenges is not just about introducing new technology. It also means seeing how those solutions work in the real world and adapting them to local needs. When one city shares its experience and ideas with others, those efforts can lead to even greater change. Meanwhile, Busan is hosting the second year of a KOICA global training program on strengthening solid waste management in Paraguay's capital region. 현재 부산에선 코이카 글로벌 연수사업인 파라과이 수도권 고형 폐기물 관리 역량 강화 2차 연도가 진행되고 있는데요. Officials and working level professionals from Paraguay are actually visiting Busan's resource circulation facilities and learning about policies and technologies that turn urban waste into valuable resources. So today on the interview, we'll be meeting with RODRIGO LUIS MUSSI BUZARQUIS and also Carlos Antonio Zara de Marco here in the studio. We're going to talk about what the two regions can learn from one another, the possibilities that they have discovered in resource circulation, and how this exchange could support more sustainable growth in both places, and that's coming up shortly. But before that, let's talk about listener question. What is one small thing you do consistently in your daily life to help the environment? When we think about protecting the environment, I think it's easy to picture big actions. But if you look closely at your daily routine, you may already be making small, thoughtful choices like bringing a reusable cup. Of course, I have my tumbler with us always. Using a shopping bag or taking a little extra care when sorting your recyclables, which is very important here in Korea, right? A small habit you repeat every day may create more lasting change than one big action. 네, 오늘의 문자 주제 알려드릴게요. 환경을 위해서 여러분이 일상에서 꾸준히 실천하고 있는 작은 행동은 무엇인가요? 네, 환경을 지킨다고 하면 하면 왠지 큰 실천부터 떠올리기 쉽죠. 하지만 우리 일상 속에도 작은 선택들이 있잖아요. 뭐 텀블러를 챙기고 장바구니를 사용하고 아니면 재활용품을 한 번 더 꼼꼼히 분리하는 것처럼요. So think about that. Let me know. You can send those messages to pound 9050 for 101 or reach us for free through Kakao Talk or YouTube live chat as well. Now, for me, it is always the tumbler issue. You know, it's not easy to clean tumblers, but I try to always take my tumblers. Maybe once a month I'll forget, and on those days I try not to get my coffee, and that is my small thing that I do every single day. If there is something like that for you, let me know. We have Jeremy messaging in. 저는 제가 가지고 있는 물건은 어떤 것들이 있는지 다 알아요. 그래서 필요 없는 것을 사지 않습니다. Wow, so Jeremy knows every single item she has at home, so she doesn't buy things that she doesn't need. That is great. I think that's something I need to do and go home and check out my inventory and make sure that I'm not overbuying and overpurchasing. That is absolutely a great idea. Well, 이 프로그램은 방송미디어통신위원회 방송통신 발전기금을 지원받아 제작하였습니다. With that, let's jump into today's The Interview. For the interview. Today, the valuable experience Busan has built in resource circulation is being shared to drive meaningful change in Paraguay. Through August 22nd, the second-year training of the KOICA Global Fellowship Program called Capacity Building for Solid Waste Management in the Metropolitan Area of Paraguay is underway. This year, 15 practitioners, including Paraguayan civil servants, experts, and entrepreneurs, visiting Busan to explore resource circulation facilities and study various policies and technologies to turn urban waste back into resources, including AI-driven waste management, data utilization, carbon emission credits, and upcycling. How interesting. So today we are joined by environmental climate change researcher RODRIGO LUIS MUSSI BUZARQUIS and also Carlos Antonio JARA de Marco, leader of a social and environmental enterprise in Paraguay. 네, 오늘 더 인터뷰에서는 로드리고 루이스 무시 부아르키스 그리고 카를로스 안토니오 자라 디 마르코와 함께합니다. 부산에서 발견한 자원순환의 해법을 파라과이에선 어떻게 현실로 만들어갈 수 있을지 이야기 나눠보겠습니다. Hello and welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have both of you in the studio today. Hola, bienvenido. Hello
Hola.
and welcome. We also have a big group from our Paraguay guests here in the studio. Maybe you can say hola to our listeners in 3. 1, 2, 3. Hola! Welcome, welcome. And listeners, if you do tune in through YouTube, you can see our guests here in the studio. All of them here in the studio. I'm going to say more than 10, absolutely. And 2 here with us to answer all of the questions here today. So first, please say hello to our listeners. Let's start with Rodrigo.
Hello. It's a pleasure for me to be here in this wonderful country and also in this beautiful city of Busan. My name is Rodrigo Mussi, and I am a professor of the National University of Paraguay. I work in teaching and researching in issues regarding to environment in Paraguay, especially in waste and also in climate change. I have different issues, different material, different signature in the university in the career on environment engineer. So this is I do in my country.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you so much. We're so glad to have you here with us. And Carlos, let's hear from you as well.
Yes, for me, it's also thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Carlos Jara de Marco, and I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Soluciones Ecológicas, so ecological solutions. Oh. And our mission is very simple. We started in 2018, and we want to make recycling easier and accessible to everyone. So that's what we are working every day with communities, companies, recyclers, public institutions to make recycling more available. And I'm very happy to be here and learning a lot about Korea and Busan, how they manage, and we are learning here every day.
That's great to hear. And thank you again for both of you for taking your time to interview with us. And thank you to the whole team from Paraguay as well. Now, before coming to Korea, what were you most curious about or looking forward to? And what was and has left the deepest impression on you in Korea and Busan, Rodrigo?
Yes, one of the most important things that I am interested in coming to Korea is because when I was working in 2021 in Paraguay for the Ministry of Public Works, I had the opportunity to work with the Korean consultancy in Paraguay. Since that, I got the idea about the miracle of hand repair. Because when we compare the situation between Paraguay and Korea, I can say that Paraguay have an area of 400,000 square kilometers, and Korea have the area of 90,000 square kilometers. So let's say that Paraguay is 40 times bigger than Korea.
Right.
But our population is only 6 million right now. In Korea is about 40 million, I think, 50 million. So the most important thing that I learned that time with the Korean team is that the miracle of the river hand in 1917, the income of the Korea was about $800, and in Paraguay, $500. So the difference was only $300.
Right.
So right now, 50 years later, the income in Korea is about $40,000, and in Paraguay it's only $7,000. So this is the big difference that I want to know how the Korea do this great process of development.
Right.
So the second issue is about I had this course in 2021. I got the scholarship for coming to Korea, but I couldn't come because of the COVID situation. And I did the course by internet in the virtual course.
Right.
So in this situation, I said, I had to go to Korea. Next time, I had to do it. So this is the situation that now I am here. I got the new 5 years later, I got this scholarship, and I am here in order to learn. There are many things to learn from Korea, and the experience here is really very well.
Oh, that's great to hear. After 5 years because of COVID, and now finally you are here in our city of Busan. I'm great to hear that as well. And Carlos?
For me, I was very curious about how is a daily life here in Korea about waste management, waste separation, like for the regular people. So, of course, Korea is known about technology, infrastructure, but I want to know what happened with the ordinary citizens, like everyday life. An apartment building, maybe a restaurant. So, like walking here in the streets, I see that, of course, here is very well developed, but then you see a regular restaurant, they have to separate waste.
Right.
You know, it's something that is more from the people's perspective. So that was I want to see here, that part. And also, of course, how they manage to have laws and control and the incentives set in place in order to make that change. Because in some way here we were doing a lot of trainings, and then we realized that Paraguay right now is like Korea was 40 years ago. So, okay, there's a big difference, but right now we have to make changes so that to close the gap.
Right. That's a very thoughtful point. And I think it's easy to focus only on technology or large-scale facilities, but everyday habits are what makes a system work. And as you said, even the most advanced countries and cities are still learning and improving. So this is an important part of Busan as well. Now, through this training program that we're talking about, what was the one thing you felt you absolutely had to see and learn firsthand, especially in person for you, Rodrigo?
Yes, many things really, but one of the most important things that I really wanted to see when I came here is how the Busan Environmental Corporation is working in organic waste, how they do the separation at the home at the beginning, and how they later transform this organic waste fraction in different issues. For example, methane, the production of methane, the gas, and this is one of the most important things that I wanted to see. I saw some days ago this process, and because this is one of the most important problems we had in Paraguay. You know that in Paraguay, between 60% to 80% of the fraction of our waste is organic waste. So all this organic waste, they go all together in the vertedero.
Right.
So without separating, without doing something. So for me, I had to clarify that this is for me because I am a researcher in the university, and we want to do this research in our university. The separation of the organics waste is one of the most important things that I see this in Korea.
That's fascinating. And I feel like when you see the entire system, it also connects in real life. And like you said, back to the country of Paraguay as well. How about you, Carlos?
For me, I was really wanted to understand what makes actually people separate their waste, consistently.
Right.
And one of my biggest lessons here in Korea is that the importance of incentives.
Oh.
So we learned that companies have incentives, people have incentives, and incentives because education and environmental awareness is important, but only with good intentions or writing a law is not enough.
Right.
So we have to make the system work. And how that? We learned here that in 1995, Busan implemented a pay as you throw program.
Yeah.
So basically it's the bags. So that means that if you generate a lot of waste, you have to pay more. And that incentives changes the habits of people.
Right.
And that's really a big difference in Paraguay, that we don't have that in place. So the people have those incentives, and that also translates in the companies also. So the companies, if they do a really good waste management process, they get some benefits from the government. So that all in total has to a system that works, basically. So laws, infrastructure, incentives, that all together makes the system work.
Definitely. I think there are incentives, and sometimes there is shame as well. Like, oh, you didn't recycle? Oh, why would you do that, right? So I think for me, when I first came to Korea, that's what I felt. And I was like, oh, I need to recycle. I need to separate waste. But yes, that awareness and incentives, and like you mentioned, not just companies, but the people and companies, as you mentioned, definitely important. Well, listeners, if you're just tuning into Busan Worldwide, we are in the middle of the interview speaking with Rodrigo Luis Mussi, also Carlos Antonio Jara DeMarco here in the studio. Now, Rodrigo, you have engaged in a wide range of activities, experiencing environmental issues from distinct positions across research, as you mentioned, international development and government policy. So in your view, what is the most crucial factor for translating sound environmental policies or ideas into lasting change on the ground?
Oh, this is the big question, really. There are many things that we can do in this situation.
Right.
let's see that, for example, with a population, with a well-educated population, the well-educated population, they choose good politicians,
Right.
and the good politicians, they made good public policy.
Right.
So in this situation, how to transform the good policy in good activity. This is how to involve all the stakeholders, the private, the public, the citizen, everybody. So in this situation, I think that is a public policy can be successful with this point of view if we want to do it.
Definitely. So kind of, as you mentioned, it is about the policy level and the government level. But in order to be there, you have to have the educated people, awareness.
Exactly.
As well.
This is what I had many experience in different countries around the world, in more than 10 countries. But I can say that this is the problem that we have in Paraguay.
I see. And while waste management is often viewed simply as a local living condition issue for a single city to solve, from a broader perspective, it is closely tied to climate change and sustainable development. So why should cities view waste management and resource circulation not just as waste disposal, but as a vital strategy for tackling the climate change?
Yeah, there's a good policy of waste management could be a great opportunity for all the country or for this city like here in Busan. If you implement a good policy in waste policy, we can fight against the climate change, for example. We can mitigate the greenhouse gases coming from the waste, in this case, the methane from the organic fraction. And also, if we use this methane in order to produce electrical energy, for example, we can substitute the energy coming from the petroleum, the oil, and the combustible in our country.
Right, definitely. And I think that really broadens the way we think about waste in general. Now, I want to ask Carlos, about 30 years ago, after first experiencing the practice of sorting waste by type at school, you founded an entire enterprise dedicated to resolving waste sorting and recycling challenges. So what led that experience from 30 years ago to turn into starting a business? How your services maybe operate, and how are you creating an environment where it's easier for citizens and businesses to recycle through these varied sources and services?
Yeah, so 30 years ago, I had the chance to be in Germany as an exchange student. And it really surprised me because, like, my German family separated waste. And I was like, why?
Oh.
Why do you separate waste?
Right. It was a new concept.
For me, it was new.
Uh-huh.
And then they show me, yes, here have the glass bottles. And then I take it to the recycling container, only for glass, like different green, crystal. And then I came back to Paraguay. The contrast for me was very, very clear, like a country that really cares about the environment from the start, from the get-go. So we were not doing that at all, And years later, I applied. The thing kept into my mind. So I applied for a grant. I got some money, in this case, from the United States, to start a recycling pilot. And that went very well. The people were really eager to separate and recycle.
Wow.
But the thing is that we didn't have the infrastructure in Paraguay. So I gather more information and more contact with companies, and they were really loved about like putting containers in the street so that people can come here and put that, like it was in Germany in some way. And so that experience, in some way, stayed in my mind that I really love to be in a country that was like that. So I had two options. One is to fly to another country and live in another country, or start change myself in the country. So I did the second one. So when I created Soluciones Ecológicas in 2019, like I say, with a very simple idea, make recycling easier and connect people, because we want to connect the whole environment, because it's not only one as a silo that starts maybe at home at the company, but then it goes to the recycler, to the recycle facility and everything. So that has to be very well connected so that we can give a second life to those materials.
Right. And that's a powerful story. You saw a different possibility, recognize a gap between home and where you traveled. And your work shows how one person's frustration can grow into a practical service. We have actually Norma messaging in, saying Carlos Jara, creator of Paraguay's best social enterprise. Ooh la la. Yes. And that's who we have here in the studio. Listeners, if you're just tuning in, we are speaking with Rodrigo Luis Mussi and Carlos Antonio Jara de Marco here in the studio. Now, I do want to ask this for both of you. Korea and Paraguay have different waste treatment infrastructures, as we know. The budgets are different, institutions and social environments different. Among the things you learned during this training program, what do you think can be realistically applied back to Paraguay?
Oh, good question. Good question. I have to say that the situation between the big difference between Paraguay and Korea is that in Paraguay we live in a house. We live in a house with a garden. Completely different than the people living in Korea. They live in apartments.
Right.
So we can say that in Paraguay we have only 6 million people, and here you are 40 million people,
right.
And Paraguay is 4 times bigger than that. So in this situation, how do we live and how do we produce the waste is completely different.
Of course.
So according to this situation, the experience that we have here in Korea with the corporation, Busan Environmental Corporation, is very interesting. There are many things that we can reply there according to the Paraguayan situation.
Right.
For example, we need to reveal all the situation, the legal structure of the financial structure of the public policy of waste in Paraguay. We have the Ministry of Environment and Development in Paraguay. But the implementation of the policy is really in the municipalities in Paraguay. We have 265 municipalities in Paraguay. They work completely separated, all of them. So one of the big ideas that we can do in Paraguay is to create an institution like Busan Environmental Corporation, and we can associate different quantity of municipality in order to face up this situation in Paraguay.
Right.
We also need to learn more from Busan Environmental Corporation about the incentive, the financial incentive that you have here in Korea from the central government or from the regional government in order to get the money to implement this quantity of...
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's very realistic and important perspective. Rather than just simply copying another country's model, you want to have a goal of building a system that reflects Paraguay's own ecosystem and also economy and daily life and government and communities as well. Absolutely. How about you, Carlos?
It's interesting because for me, one of the most valuable things about this training program is actually the group itself.
Oh.
So we have here professionals from the public sector, from municipalities, from the Ministry of Environment, but we also have people from the private sector. So we are learning together, discussing the same problems, looking at possible solutions, perspectives, and that Korea has taken many years to develop waste management system that we see today. But Paraguay cannot simply copy and paste the system. we can learn from Korea's journey, include what works, and it didn't work, so that we can take the best part of this back to Paraguay. So, and also, I think I mentioned before, the most important lesson for me is about the incentives. How can we put the right incentives in everybody's, like the whole citizens, the whole country, so that they can go to the right way, everybody together. So we need to increase the incentives for citizens, business, institutions, separating waste and recycling. That makes sense for everybody.
Right.
And hopefully, after this program, we can join back in Paraguay, the public sector, private sector, together and learn and apply something that will works in our own reality.
Definitely. Hopefully the conversations and connections made here will lead to solutions that are practical, collaborative, and very suited to Paraguay as well. Now, with time constraints, I do want to ask you, if listeners were to visit Paraguay, what is the one experience you would recommend that they try without fail?
Oh, Paraguay is a wonderful country.
I'm sure.
I have to tell you. We have many natural resources in Paraguay that the listener, they can visit it there. Paraguayan people, they are very nice, very warmful.
I can tell.
And also I had to tell you, the listener, that in Paraguay we had one of the most delicious meat of the world. We eat in Paraguay barbecue. We call asado, and this is really delicious with our red meat. And also, I had to tell you, Stephanie, and all the listeners, that in Paraguay we have the unique soup, Paraguayan soup, that is not liquid; it's solid soup.
Okay.
So this is also one of the most important traditional food we had in Paraguay. I will invite you to visit Asunción, our historic center in Asunción. Asunción is the capital of from Asunción, all the city from Latin America was founded. They from Asunción, the Spanish conqueror, they live from Asunción.
Right.
And there is also many natural resources, for example, Mondaú waterfall is a very beautiful place.
Right.
We can do it. Many things, really.
Yeah.
I invite the listener also. I assure to all of you that you are going to spend a great time in Paraguay.
Absolutely. You're making Paraguay sound absolutely wonderful. We're definitely going to have to try the asado barbecue, as well as check out the natural resources. How about you, Carlos?
I think I echo most of what Rodrigo said. Going to Paraguay is about the experience, about warmth, hospitality of the people. If you go there, everybody will invite you to an asado. One day, the other day, next day. Every day will people, because it's like we look up to foreigners, so we welcome them. We want to show our culture, and a lot goes around food, like asado, and something else is tereré. So it's a way to drink tea, but Paraguay is a very hot country. So we drink cold tea. It's called tereré with a wampa and like a straw, metal straw. So that's usually you share with, let's say, 7 people and go around with the same tereré, sharing. So it's about sharing our culture, not a specific place. It's about going there, being there. Of course, some natural resources, because we have a lot of land and only a few people, like 6 million. But again, come here to Paraguay, experience the people, the food, share our nature, and take your time. In Paraguay, it's more laid back, not everybody rushing, like laid back.
Opposite of Korea.
Opposite of Korea in that sense. So, yes, everybody's welcome to come to Paraguay.
Yes, it sounds like a lovely invitation. And Paraguay may be a bit far from Korea, but I feel like a lot of our listeners will add Paraguay to their travel list. Definitely. We have about a minute, so for the last question, if you can share just quick thoughts on today's broadcast and give just like a closing remarks to our listeners. Rodrigo?
So the only thing that I would like to say that is to say thanks, to say 감사합니다 to Korea people, to you for invite for all of here in this, to say 감사합니다 also for the Busan Corporation, Environmental Corporation, because we learned a lot in these 2 weeks. We really learned a lot quantity of, we visit more than 15 installation of different kind of separation organization, recycling organization. And I would like to say, to emphasize also the hospitality and generosity of the people, especially the people from KOICA, people from Busan Environment Organization, and also from the foundation, because they are really great doing this job, and also in doing this job, and also to taking care of all the group. We are 15 people, and we want to say really thanks for all of this.
That's great to hear. And it's just been a pleasure hearing your reflection today. And I'm just so glad that you're enjoying our city of Busan. And lastly, Carlos.
Oh, Stephanie, for me, this is like a dream come true. Coming here to Asia and with all the wonderful people that we met, the great professors, trainer, everybody's open to share their ideas, how they did it. That's wonderful. I never experienced something like that. And this is much more than waste. This is we are going with new ideas, new friendship, much understanding of the Korean society. And my final message could be like environmental problems can sometimes feel enormous, like you said, but we have to start with small changes. Small actions can take into bigger results. So I'm very thankful again for you, because being here and sharing with all your listeners, that's very important.
Absolutely.
We appreciate what Korea is giving us as an experience here, and I hope maybe we can get some Koreans back in Paraguay to share also.
Yeah, and we hope this visit becomes the beginning of many more exchanges between Busan and Paraguay in the future. We have Anju-sung-nim messaging in saying, welcome to Busan. Yes, absolutely. And that's going to do it for today's The Interview, speaking with Rodrigo Mussi and Carlos Antonio Jara de Marco. Thank you, both of you, for being here with us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. 감사합니다.
감사합니다. All right, with that, that's going to do it for today's The Interview. 이 프로그램은 방송미디어통신위원회 방송통신발전기금을 지원받아 제작하였습니다. Let's take a quick song break. This is the Jacksons with Blame It on the Boogie.
Goodbye. Don't blame it on the sunshine. Don't blame it on the moonlight. Don't blame it on the good times. Blame it on the boogie. Don't blame it on the sunshine. Don't blame it on the moonlight. Don't blame it on the good times. Blame it on the boogie. That nasty boogie bugs me, but somehow it has drugged me. Spellbound rhythm gets me on my feet. I changed my life completely. The lightning lit me. My baby just can't take her eyes off me. I don't blame it on the sunshine. I don't blame it on the moonlight. I don't blame it on the good times. Blame it on the boogie. Don't you blame it on the sunshine. Don't blame it on the moonlight. I don't blame it on the good times. Blame it on the boogie. Woo! I just can't. just can't control my feet. I just can't control my feet. I just can't control my feet. I just can't control my feet. Sunshine, I don't blame it on the moonlight. I don't blame it on the good times. I blame it on the boogie. I don't blame it on the sunshine. I don't blame it on the moonlight. I don't on the good times. I blame it on the boogie. To me, the business. I'm full of funky fever. A fire burns inside me. Boogie's got me in a super trance. I don't blame it on the sunshine. I don't blame it on the moonlight.
And that was by the Jacksons. Blame it on the boogie. Welcome back to Busan Worldwide. With all of our guests leaving the studio, it feels very empty in here. Well, it was a pleasure having a whole team from Paraguay here in the studio. Lots of messages coming in about today's listener question. What is one small thing you do consistently in your daily life to help the environment? We have 리정님 saying 분리수거를 좀 더 철저히 하고 가능한 한 일회용품을 사용을 자제하고 있습니다. Yes, that's great, right? Recycling is not easy here in Korea, but it's definitely so important. I'm glad you're doing that. And also 안주성님 messaging in 바로 식사할 때 접시에 담은 음식을 감사히 먹고 남기지 않는 겁니다. That's great. So that is something that I definitely want to try. Finishing my food so that we don't create food waste. And if not, don't put it on your plate, right? Thank you so much for sharing with us, 안주성님. And just one more. Danny Lee-님 saying using Tumblr all the time. You and me both. Thank you so much for sharing. With that, let's jump into Correspondent Reports. And the time is now 11:47, which means it's time for Correspondent Reports. We're going to turn to Singapore for the latest updates. Our correspondent April is on the line. 네, 오늘은 싱가포르 소식 들어보겠습니다. 싱가포르에서 April 통신원, 안녕하십니까?
안녕하세요, 스테파니님. 싱가포르 통신원 에이프릴입니다. 잘 지내셨나요?
네, 반갑습니다. It's a pleasure to have you connected as always. Now, let's jump into our first topic. A representative Southeast Asian service exhibition was held in Singapore recently. It is reported that our franchise companies gathered in large numbers in Singapore to target the ASEAN market. How was this exhibition conducted? 네, 첫 번째 소식 볼게요. 최근 싱가포르에서 아세안 지역 대표 서비스 전시회가 열렸는데요. 우리 프랜차이즈 기업들이 아세안 시장을 공략하기 위해서 싱가포르에 대거 모였다는 소식입니다. 이번 전시회가 어떻게 진행되었나요?
네, 코트라가 지난 13일부터 15일까지 싱가포르에서 개최된 싱가포르 프랜차이즈 앤 라이센싱 전시회에 국내 프랜차이즈 8기사와 함께 한국관을 운영했는데요. 8개의 외식 프랜차이즈 기업이 참가해 8개의 부스에서 브랜드 경쟁력을 과시했습니다. 싱가포르 프랜차이즈 협회가 주관하는 이 전시회는 매년 50여 개국에서 4,500명 이상의 관계자가 찾는 아세안 대표 B2B 전시회입니다.
I see. So Kotra actually operated a Korean pavilion with 8 domestic franchise companies at the Franchising and Licensing Asia exhibition held in Singapore from the 13th to the 15th. 8 dining and franchise companies participated and demonstrated their brand competitiveness across 8 booths. And organized by the Franchising and Licensing Association Singapore, this exhibition is a representative ASEAN B2B event invited and visited by over 4,500 industry officials from about 50 countries every year. Well, is there a special reason why our domestic dining brands regard Singapore as a key hub for entering the ASEAN market? 우리 국내 외식 브랜드들이 싱가포르를 아세안 시장 진출의 핵심 거점으로 삼는 특별한 이유가 있을까요?
네, 싱가포르는 2025년 기준 1인당 국민 총소득이 약 8만 1,760달러에 달하는 고소득 국가인데요. 식품 소비의 90% 이상을 수입에 의존하다 보니 해외 프랜차이즈 소비에 매우 익숙합니다. 여기에 중국계와 말레이계, 인도계 등 다양한 다인종 구성과 17%의 단일 법인세, 잘 정비된 지식재산권 관련 법률 덕분에 아세안 전역 진출을 위한 최적의 테스트베드로 꼽히고 있습니다.
I see. So Singapore is a high-income nation, as we know, with a gross national income, GNI, per capita reaching approximately $81,760 as of the 2025. As it relies on imports for over 90% of its food consumption, because customers and consumers are exceptionally accustomed to foreign franchisees. And on top of that, thanks to a diverse multiracial demographic, including Chinese, Malay, Indian population, a flat corporate tax rate of 17%, and well-established intellectual property laws, it is regarded as the optimal testbed for expanding throughout ASEAN as well. Well, with that, let's jump into our next topic. News has been announced that the National Library of Korea has joined hands with the National Library Board of Singapore to significantly strengthen cooperation in the library field. So let's hear about the details. 네, 다음 소식 볼게요. 국립중앙도서관이 싱가포르 국립도서관위원회와 손을 잡고 도서관 분야 협력을 대폭 강화한다는 소식이 발표되었는데요. 구체적으로 어떤 기관과 어떤 내용의 협약을 맺은 건가요?
네, 국립중앙도서관이 지난 14일 싱가포르 국립도서관위원회와 교류협력을 위한 양해 각서를 체결했습니다. 싱가포르 국립도서관위원회는 1995년에 설립되어 국립도서관과 국가기록관, 공공도서관을 통합 운영하는 곳으로 약 606만 권의 장서를 소장하고 있습니다. 이번 협약으로 두 기관은 소장 자료의 서지 목록 정보 공유와 디지털화 협력, 전문 인력 교류, 연구 및 출판물 관련 협력 등을 추진하기로 했습니다.
네, 두 나라의 지식 자산이 앞으로 더 활발히 오갈 것 같은데요. So the National Library of Korea signed a memorandum of understanding for exchange and cooperation with the National Library Board of Singapore on the 14th. Established in 1995, the National Library Board of Singapore comprehensively operates the National Library, the National Archives, and public libraries, holding a collection of approximately 6.06 million volumes. Through this agreement, the two institutions agreed to promote the sharing of course, the catalog information and holding materials, the cooperation, exchange, and research and publication-related cooperation as well. Well, it seems they are solidly strengthening the foundation for cooperation. And we also heard that on the same day, they also re-signed a MOU with the British Library Board. So what changes were reflected? 그 같은 날 영국 국립도서관위원회와도 양해각서를 다시 체결했다고 들었는데요. 어떤 변화가 반영된 걸까요?
네, 영국과는 지난 2006년 첫 양해각서 체결 이후 20년간 변화한 지식정보 환경을 반영해서 협력 분야를 새롭게 정비했습니다. 특히 최근 가속화되고 있는 디지털 전환과 인공지능 기술에 관한 전문 지식 교류와 인적 교류를 한층 강화하기로 뜻을 모았습니다. 이를 통해 세계 지식 문화 교류의 중심으로서 역할을 높여갈 계획이라고 합니다.
I see. So with the United Kingdom, they reorganized cooperation fields to reflect the knowledge and information environment that has evolved over 20 years since the initial MOU signing back in 2006. And through this, they plan to elevate their role as a center for global knowledge and cultural exchange. And that's going to do it for today's Correspondent Reports, connecting with our, of course, correspondent reporter based in Singapore, Miss April. And 오늘 소식은 여기까지 되었습니다. 감사합니다.
네, 오늘도 감사합니다. 다음에 또 뵙겠습니다.
All right, and April, before you go, I know you requested a song, so that we're going to play that song for the final song. This is 파도 by 정은지. And listeners, we'll see you tomorrow at 11:05 a.m. Bye-bye.
부서질 듯해 멈칫다 금세 파도에 휘청여 까맣게 짙어진 바다를 보고 그제야 잠시 멈춰 아득히 밀려오는 감정의 파도들을 넘어 또다시 너를 찾아가 That is how I feel